What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. This is Career Mode, episode number 50. Half a century. We have made it, ladies and gentlemen, in Career Mode episodes. I can't believe it. Here we are for the French Grand Prix. Again, we have the F1 2012 music playing in the background. I feel like at some point, we probably do need to do an F1 2012 Let's Play. I think it's the last game that I have yet to try on the channel. I actually started my channel doing F1 2012 Career Mode, so it will be quite the homage to go back and do that eventually. I need to buy either an old console or, I don't know, go back to it on PC and play with the pad. I don't know how that's going to work, but anyway, I have waffled past this intro. Here we are for the French Grand Prix. We have the ultimate drag induction upgrade on the car for this episode. So that is the Keystone upgrade that we've been waiting for all this time. Now we can work on some of the more important error updates to catch us up with the rest of the field. So I'm quite looking forward to that in the not too distant future. But here we are in practice. Showed decent pace, I suppose. This is always going to be a track that's going to be difficult to showcase your talents up against your competitors here in Formula 1, so we'll do our best. We did consolidate a lot of points in practice, and so heading into qualifying, it will be an interesting affair, because heading into the race, we also have a bit of rain heading our way, so I don't know whether to focus on having a dry setup or to go full wet, because the majority of the race will be wet, but we will be finishing off the race with dry conditions, I think. So yeah, I'm kind of split down the middle, but we're going to chuck in some new power unit components. Pray that our setup changes have worked. We had to tweak it a little bit, but heading into qualifying, I think we'll be right on the money.
Welcome to qualifying for this weekend's French Grand Prix. The teams are making their last-minute adjustments before the lights go green, and the fight for pole position gets underway.
Alright, so here we are for qualifying for the French Grand Prix. A few changes have been made. I was originally running with like 3-5 wings. The camber settings were very, very similar to what they were in Monaco, so I had to change those back, lowering the brake pressure. We also changed the suspension geometry in the way of... was it suspension geometry? I think it was just regular suspension. We moved the suspension stiffness down a few clicks, I think to like 2-3, and that'll help us get through the lower speed corners a bit better. So one of the more crucial elements to the setup recently in the F1 games is to play around with your suspension settings, because the cars these days like softer suspension, and yeah, it really helps when you go through the slower speed corners. Like the last corner, I was absolutely dying through there with understeer, but I lowered the suspension stiffness, and we're able to get through there a whole lot nicer, but at a cost of maybe rotating through higher speed corners. But I don't know, I tend to favor lower speed corners because the aero will help you get through those anyway. But anyway, enough of that. We are sitting okay at the moment in P11. You can see we did a second lap on the first set of softs that we were running on. Those were actually overheating a little bit, so that's unfortunate, but we're going to go out again, and we're going to see if we can really consolidate ourselves into Q2. I just wasn't safe, I think, on the time that I was sitting on. I was thinking that maybe the AI were all going to jump me towards the end of the session, and just to mitigate that from happening, we're going to go out again, and we're also going to increase the front downforce. So I was originally running with 4-6 wings. I've now increased the front downforce to 5-6 wings, and the car is a whole lot more pointy through the higher speed corners. And that again, kind of makes up for this setup change we made for favoring low speed corners, just at a cost of straight line speed, I suppose. But that's fine, because we've been an absolute monster on the straights so far this weekend. We've been dominating the speed traps, so I feel like a little bit of a compromise here or there doesn't go astray too much. But we get through Q1, we get through Q2 into P8 there, and now we move on to the final part of qualifying, where hopefully we can really attack this session and get ourselves, I don't know, inside the top 5. That would be lovely, given the amount of gains we've made upgrade wise. It doesn't seem to be correlating that way on circuit. You can see I'm really abusing the track limits here, but it seems to be absolutely fine. Strict corner cutting rules still in place, but those areas of the circuit, I suppose, maybe are a little bit relaxed. But hey ho, we're gonna push for whatever we can get away with. That's kind of our job, isn't it? Through to the third sector now. Lucas Weber sets a 1 minute 25.5 as the new provisional pole time. If we can get anywhere near that, then that would be somewhat of a miracle. But this lap so far has actually been really solid. I've been flowing the car really nicely. Sector 3 felt really hooked up on this occasion. We come across the line now, and we'll see if we're anywhere near pole. It's not. I think we were near on a second away, 1.1 seconds away, and it gives us P9. So throughout the entirety of the weekend, or at least in qualifying, I was faster than Raikkonen in every session. We get to Q3, and Raikkonen pulls out that blistering lap out of nowhere to get like P6 on the grid for this French Grand Prix. So, yeah, we have it all to do in the race. We have favoured somewhat of a dry setup, and the pace isn't as strong as our teammate. So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting start. Heavy rain to start off the race with, then moving to light rain. I'm hoping it moves to dry conditions as soon as possible because I rate myself way more in the dry than what I do in the wet.
Welcome to Le Castellet as we return from across the Atlantic for the 2019 French Grand Prix. Reintroduced to the Formula One calendar just last year after an absence of almost 3 decades. The circuit, Paul Ricard, where racing legends such as Alain Prost gave us some Turn 1 excitement before Valtteri Bottas and Sebastian Vettel and a commanding victory from Lewis Hamilton gave us a brilliant race last year.
Okay, the run into Turn 1 isn't too long, so the pack will be bunched up. Take care.
Thanks, Jeff. Here we are for a very soggy French Grand Prix. Let's see if we can do ourselves proud in this one. Obviously, first race since Anton Hubert sadly passed away. I would absolutely love to win this race for him, but I do need to be realistic and really assess where our car is sitting on the grid at the moment. It's just, and in the development race, that's more what I meant. We just still seem to be light years away from those around us, but who knows, with a miracle strategy, we might be able to win.
We've got about 15 minutes of this heavy rain left, after which we should see light rain conditions. Inters and wets will probably have similar pace at the moment. Sorry? No, don't do that. What good would that do? We can't do anything to the car, and we have a race to get on with. Do not try to come in, just form up on the grid, okay?
Okay, so that's an interesting development we have from Jeff. Currently, the intermediate tyres are just as fast as the wet tyres currently. Now, if you were eagle-eyed enough, you would have seen that I was wanting to switch to intermediate tyres for the start of the race, but the strategy was telling me it was 13 seconds slower on the race strategy, so the team have been lying to me. I wanted to go to intermediate tyres, and now I feel like this stint on wets will be a very short one indeed. 5 red lights, and away we go to the French Grand Prix. Very much a wheel spinny start, so hard to lay down the power in conditions like this with more than 1,000 horses on your back. Bloody hell, Sergio, he's just taken out his team out of Turn 1. Charles Leclerc is out of this Grand Prix, or at least possibly out of the running to win this one. He now settles down into last place in this race. That is a costly mistake for Williams. I would imagine that Sergio will be getting a penalty for those antics, just absolutely flying into Turn 1. Don't know if he was just trying to be opportunistic or whether he just simply missed his braking zone. Is certainly possible in these conditions where visibility is next to nothing. Anyway, you can see us sliding through the middle sector. Grip at the moment isn't great, just trying to get a feel of the conditions at the moment. We go through to the very fast right-hander at the end of the 2 back straights, and we nearly lose it ourselves on the AstroTurf, and we just about hold on, but the car is sliding around all over the place. I wonder if the tyre temps are out the window. Yes, they are. 86 degrees on the rear tyres. It is time to get off these and switch straight to the intermediate tyres. I don't know if you guys remembered back to the German Grand Prix last season where we started off on wets. We spent too much time on them and it ultimately ended up costing our race. So we're going to get off these ASAP onto the inters and we're going to see if we can make a charge back towards the leaders, the big pack. I don't know, anyone after this stop. So hopefully we have the grip and we can press on with this race. I think the ultimate disaster would be switching onto these intermediate tyres and then finding out that the track is too wet for these tyres. That'd be an absolute disaster if the wets if it was just like somehow a setup issue that would, you know, prevent us from having the right tyre temps on no matter what tyre we were on. But thankfully that's not the case, and these intermediate tyres seem to be pretty much switched on right from the get-go in these conditions, which is nice. But we rejoin on the circuit. You can see we're only 10 seconds away from the back markers now, so you know, literally if anyone made a pit stop now, at least in the bottom half of the field, we will jump them all, and I think we'll jump up to like P7, P8, something like that. And you know, the longer that this charade goes on for, the more it plays into our favour. We're reeling in the leaders actually quite a bit now. I think we were setting a purple sector on this lap in particular, and now the front runners are responding straight away. Both of the Alphas are in. No, both of the Haas drivers came in at the exact same time. I think Lewis Hamilton stayed out the extra lap. Raikkonen dived it in, and he rejoins right in front of me. So essentially it's as I was before the pit stop phases, sitting pretty right behind Raikkonen. There's still a few more people who need to make their stops, a few people on wets. The engineer is calling me back into the pit lane for a set of wet tyres. He's been doing so since lap 3, so he can bugger off with that. I don't know what it is, but the team seems to be, I don't know, maybe subtly trying to sabotage me in this race as we set the fast up for the Grand Prix, and the track position actually looks a lot better than what I was anticipating. I was thinking P7, P8, but it looks like we've jumped Nico Hulkenberg in the lane by virtue of him staying out a very, very long time. But look behind Hulkenberg on the mini-map. There is a massive gap between him and the second Red Bull, who I'm guessing is Devon Butler, because Verstappen is right in front of me, so it has to be him. So yeah, it looks like a top 8 position is possibly already cemented in this French Grand Prix. There's still a long way to go in this race. There's still a lot that can play out. The track is certainly drying out now as we're nearing the halfway stage, so it'll be a case of whether we switch to medium tyres or whether we switch to the soft compound tyres and go for a faster lap. It all depends on the timing, really, but maybe it may be worth... No, it may not be worth being aggressive and switching to the softs, because the tyre wear is so harsh around here. But meanwhile, you can see Nico Hulkenberg having a little bit of a go here on the back straight. Thankfully, our drag reduction system upgrade that we put in place for this race is probably the difference in the end between us and Hulkenberg in the end. Thankfully, no DRS, which is making overtaking a little bit more difficult for the car behind. Again, we keep him at bay with only high deployment and rich fuel mixture. So we're doing quite well at this stage. We're getting called in for the dry tyres. Lucas Weber is now in as a response. Is he going to be going to dries? I feel like it's a little bit too early, maybe a lap or two. He's going to intermediate tyres, so it is too early for the dries, but I wouldn't be surprised to see someone maybe taking a chance. Hulkenberg, are you going to... He is going to take a chance. Who would have thought it? He is onto the medium tyres for a very aggressive switch to the dries. Wow, Weber might be, I don't know, absolutely pinching himself or kicking himself now after making an unnecessary stop to go to intermediate tyres once again. He has potentially thrown away this race victory. He slides up our inside with ease as I've got no grip at this stage. France is a very high tyre deg circuit, and there's nothing left on my tyre tread, so negotiating some of these corners really did get quite treacherous in the last lap or two. We are finally in for the dry tyres. Raikkonen goes to softs. I was playing around with my strategy, and unfortunately I didn't have any fresh soft tyres left, so it is mediums for us to have a consistent run to the end. Lucas Weber is in as well for his mediums, and it's going to be a showdown between us two. Oh my god, isn't that sound effect really annoying? That's up there with one of the most annoying sounds in the world. But yes, it may potentially be a showdown between myself and Weber for the rest of this race. Virtual safety car has been deployed. That is for one of the other Alfa Romeos. It is Lewis Hamilton who is now stricken in this race. Engine failure and what was looking like a very promising Grand Prix. I think Lewis was actually leading this race on track once he factored in all the stops. So that's absolute calamity for his championship hopes. He's a championship leader as well. So, wow, a real yo-yo season it seems for Lewis Hamilton in this Drivers' Championship so far. Again, things just seem to be falling into Lucas Weber's lap, potentially, though Hulkenberg, I think at this stage, is probably best poised to win this Grand Prix. Meanwhile, back at the front, you can see Kimi Räikkönen putting some pressure on Hulkenberg for the race victory, as Hulkenberg slides up the inside of Max Verstappen now. But these guys are making another stop, so maybe they didn't have fresh tyres either on their softs, and they're now realizing how difficult the tyre conservation game is, and having to come in again for another set of softs. So we jump Räikkönen and we jump Max Verstappen to now move up into P4 in this French Grand Prix. You know, our pace today, you know, brutally honestly, it's just not been the same pace as any of the top running teams. It's not even been a match to my teammate, to be honest. France is just a really strong circuit for the AI, and today I just haven't been up to standard. But by I don't know, better strategy, we find ourselves in a really lofty position, right up there with our second best result of the season of P4. We did get a podium a few races ago in Spain, but if we can pull this off at France, that would be quite the miracle result, I would say, considering half the race was spent with rain. Like, it literally doesn't get any harder than this. France is the hardest circuit on the calendar on the F1 game to beat the AI, and when you partner that with rain, which is also hard to beat the AI with, wow, okay, amazing result. But anyway, Nico Hulkenberg is going to come away with a victory today. Sebastian Vettel was hard charging towards the end of the Grand Prix. He got himself past Lucas Weber after recently switching to the softs. But back in Tiametmarduk land, in Nowheresville, we're going to get a miracle P4 at the French Grand Prix.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
The quality and fantastic result of the Haas team will have been noticed by everyone else out there today. You can see why everyone's taking them so seriously. These drivers will be hot property by the end of the season.
So there we go. That is, I think, the first victory for Hulkenberg all season. He gets the breakthrough. A much needed one. I think he's the only guy in the top two teams not to have won a race yet. Everyone else has arrived so far in this championship, but finally Nico Hulkenberg arrives to complete a German trifecta on the podium. Again, looks like the rain is back after the race, which was weird. And it looks like it's very heavy rain, like at the start of the race, so it looks like we just missed out on a nightmare there. But P4 in this race, I can't stress enough how well we did to actually get that result. If you consider that if we would have started on the intermediate tyres, could have been a podium or a victory. What was the gap? I'm going to go back and see what the gap was. It was 14 seconds. So, with that considered, if we didn't get screwed over by our team, saying that the projected race finishing time was going to be slower, we could have won this race. We honestly could have won that race. That is how ridiculous that was. But, you know, regardless, it's been a very interesting Grand Prix. A very lonely Grand Prix at that as well. I think we spent the entirety of the race kind of all by ourselves. I had a little bit of pressure from Hulkenberg behind at one stage. I got overtaken by Lucas Weber, the lap before the switch to dry tyres. But apart from that, I did not race a single person in today's Grand Prix. It was quite... Yeah, I'm used to absolutely hectic 10 out of 10 races nearly every week with these career mode races, but this one was a relatively, a relatively calm Grand Prix, like Lando Norris before he had his retirement. But anyway, I feel like we were probably due a race like that anyway. But anyway, how many times am I going to say anyway? Anyway. Upgrades. We're going to go for downforce. I've been banging on about it for bloody weeks now, and finally we have the chance to improve the high-speed performance of this car, and so we're going to do so. Front and rear downforce. I did consider maybe going for department efficiency, but we wouldn't have been able to do 2 upgrades today. I think realistically, I feel like I might only be with Ferrari for this one season. Look, we've only got 1, 2, 4 downforce upgrades after this. And 1 or 2 drag reduction upgrades. So, I don't know. I don't feel like it's overly worth going for the department efficiency. I want the performance now. I really want to cut into the lead of the Haas's. the Alfa Romeos right now. We're falling far too behind in the championship anyway as it is. I think the gap is the best part of 50 points. So we really need to get a wriggle on now and hope that we can, I don't know, get some kind of miracle results out of Austria or the British Grand Prix. We missed the trick there with Monaco with the DNF. I really am ruining that result. But from here on in, maximum attack to see if we can mix it up with the big guns. Raikkonen's doing it. We need to lift our game and see what we can do as well. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content. I don't know if you noticed, but I changed the thumbnail style again. Let me know if you like it or if you like the old style better. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, until the next video, I'll see you next time.